The Cat that Consumed Christmas. Loki was a loving cat who lived in a loving home with his adopted family. He was a rescue cat from a shelter and had spent many years alone. Christmas had arrived, and Loki watched with cat fascination as boxes were hauled into the living room and Christmas decorations were unpacked. And then there was the tree. It was a real pine tree and stood in the corner, 6.5 feet tall. With the star on top of it, it almost touched the ceiling. On Christmas Eve, the family were getting ready to leave for a day of outdoor activities. They made sure Loki had just enough food and water to last several hours. They reminded him to be a good kitty. They closed the door, and Loki watched from the window as they drove off. Well, Loki did his normal cat things throughout the day. Loki ate a little, drank a little, groomed himself, and slept. The sun was starting to go down, and Loki was getting chilly on his perch at the window. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Loki was startled and immediately ran for shelter to hide, heading straight for the tree. As he hid behind all the beautifully wrapped presents, the piney scent of the evergreen tree reminded Loki of his years being lost outside before the shelter had rescued him. Loki's stomach began to growl. He had long since finished his dry cat food and his wet cat food. He thought that maybe the tree might not be a bad thing to eat because it smelled so fresh. So Loki bit into a branch, and then he chewed and swallowed. The next thing he knew, he had eaten the whole branch. He then moved on to the next branch, and the next. The pine needles and garland tickled his nose as he ate. The Christmas baubles fell to the floor as Loki ate more and more of the tree. His furry belly swelled as he continued his Christmas tree feast. And then he reached the top of the tree and that shiny, bright star. He wanted to stop, but he couldn't help himself. His jaw opened wide, and he ate the star in 3 crunchy bites. Loki fell to the floor, landing on top of the presents with a thud, and began to snore. The family returned a few hours later and were shocked at the sight that greeted them when they opened the door. Their once beautiful tree was completely bare of decorations. All the green branches were gone, leaving just a gray, skinny tree trunk. And lying on top of their crushed presents was a huge, fat, swollen-bellied cat, snoring. The family screamed all at once, "Loki!" The cat immediately woke up, startled. He glanced wildly around, meowing loudly. He stretched his comically short limbs from his oversized torso. Now, as you all know, cats don't always keep down what they eat, and eating a Christmas tree, plus garland and lights, was not going to stay in this cat's tummy. Suddenly, an awful sound of rumbling began to come from the cat's body. Loki started to cough, and then his cough turned to hacking like he had a hairball, and then the cat started to bring up sparkles. It was just a little bit at first, a bit of colored glitter, and then more and more, even more. A rainbow of colored sparkles showered the living room, the carpet, the curtains, the couch. The family stared in stunned silence. Loki started running across the house, burping up colored sparkles down the hall, up the stairs, and into the bathroom. Glitter covered the sink, the bathtub, and floated in the toilet water. The cat ran through the bedrooms, covering pillows and comforters in shiny colored bits. Loki raced downstairs to the kitchen, and sparkles rained down over the oven and the table and the fridge, and as suddenly as it started, it stopped. Loki flopped on the carpet, eyes wide, and just as surprised as everyone else. The family stood frozen, and then the youngest girl laughed and pointed at the tree. The once bare branches and trunk were covered in 6 feet of sparkles, magically brighter than any lights or decorations. The family realized the beauty of it all, instead of a sparkly, glittery mess. "Next year, we are not leaving the cat behind," said Dad. "I'll grab a broom," sighed Mom. "I'll get the vacuum," said the son. And the cat, hearing the vacuum start up, fled to the closet, hiding until Boxing Day. May you all have a Christmas that's shiny and bright.